Your story is waiting for you today. Your story has something new to say. But your story will only come out to play when you're alone. Alone. Alone in a room with invisible people.
The following episode may contain swearing. Alone in a Room with Invisible People is brought to you by hollyswritingclasses.com. Hi, I'm Rebecca Galardo, the host of Alone in a Room with Invisible People. I'm here today with author and teacher Holly Lisle, and today's topic is how to plot surprises and mysteries in any genre. And before we get started, just like every other time, we're going to talk about what we did this week. So, Holly, you want to go first?
Yeah. This was a really good week. I am goofy excited. First off, just a little plug. Hunting the Corrigan's Blood is out in its third edition. It has been seriously bug hunted and cleaned up and improved, and it's got some additional materials in there. And it has cover art by my magnificent daughter Rebecca, and who is the host of this show. And I am just so excited about it. And it's up on basically all the platforms, and we've got both the print version and the Kindle ebook, Apple, Kobo, pretty much every place I could get it. Smashwords, it's there. And I am just hunting the Corrigan's Blood, the very first Cadence Drake novel. And
from 1997.
Yes, from 1997. So, yeah, it's been around a while. It's taken me forever to get this series done, but I've got more on that we're coming up on. Okay. This week, I have also written like a crazy person, not just on the lesson for how to write not a novel, but I'm on lesson 23 of how to write a novel now and working on that now. But I also got my words on Dead Man's Party, which is novel number 1. I got a bunch of stuff done on Moon and Sun 3, The Emerald Sun, novel number 2. That was on Tuesday and Wednesday when I was also working on getting Katie out. And then on Wishbone Conspiracy, which is Cadence Drake, novel number 3, I got about 2,300 words written for the week. So I'm thrilled about that too. I am moving along very quickly in that novel, which has been just hanging in the back of my head for years now. And now I'm getting to write it, and it's just falling into place, and I love it when that happens. Oh, yes. And yeah, that's it for me.
Well,
yes.
you had an epiphany when like falling asleep for a nap the other day.
God, yes. Well, I had a couple of those. One of them was I woke up with the one nap. I woke up with the ending for Dead Man's Party.
Yeah.
And holy crap, it's like, oh my God, this is the perfect ending. And usually, if you wake up from a dream, the stuff that comes to you in the dream turns out to be really stupid, like add more bananas.
Yeah. You talked about that before too. I think you said cookie. No, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Cookie Munchkin napkin cheese. Yeah, that's my novel idea there. Yeah, but no, this I wrote it down, and when I looked at it later, it's like, yeah, that's it. That's beautiful. So yeah,
Nice.
It's been a really good writing week.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mine was significantly smaller, just because I'm doing, well, I'll talk about that later, but I finished the Cadence Drake cover.
Yes.
But that was already discussed, so.
I'm sorry.
But yeah. No, that's fine. That was your achievement too. And I was so happy with it.
Happy with it.
Yeah, so I have been doing that. I got words on the second Wanda Lucia book. I have, I have like 13 or 14 scenes left in that book till it's done into the revision point. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to our topic. I'm really, really excited about this. Again, it is how to plot surprises and mysteries in any genre. And Holly created some free downloadable worksheets that, again, you just go to alonewithinvisiblepeople.com, and you can get them for absolutely, for free. There's no email needed, no no nothing. You just download them. But these, like, you actually kind of need to listen to the episode to get, because I didn't even know there was a part on there I had to do until I saw Mom's, and I was like, oh shit, wait a minute.
Yeah, so you do have my demo is up too, and you can download the demo that I did of the screenshots, or a demo that I did of the worksheet with my stuff written in, so that you can see where stuff goes. These may not be the most intuitive worksheets I have ever done.
No.
So it probably will be very helpful for you if you download mine too and see how I did them.
And also listen to the entire episode before you start working on them, just because like there were some things in there that weren't listed, but I had Mom's to look at, but I didn't have any other instructions either. And I'm actually really excited to get into this episode, because I think that this is something that I really, really want to get better at.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is how you make your fiction fun for yourself. How you keep yourself interested, how you don't just keep writing the same story over and over and over again, and knowing how everything goes. And one of the things I want to get into here before we get actually started on the workshop part of this is that every story requires a mystery and a surprise. Not just mystery novels. We are not talking about creating mystery novels here. This will work for that, but your objective is to get your readers to be interested in what you're writing and to read your story. And to do that, there has to be something in there that they don't know and want to know. That's their mystery. There has to be something in there that happens that they don't expect to have happen. That's a surprise. Yeah. And every good story has mysteries and surprises, multiple places where each time your reader thinks, oh God, no, I know where this is going.
Yep.
And then it doesn't. They go, oh my God, oh, they didn't do what I expected them to do, and this is so cool, and they keep reading.
Romance is sorely lacking in the surprises and mystery department, because the majority of the ones I'm reading, even if they are well written, the characters have some actual character to them, maybe they're a little bit different than the ones I've read before. It's still so obvious in a lot of these romances. Okay, well, what's coming up next? It's like it's that formulaic feel. Mm-hmm. And there is no surprise, there's no twist, there's no mystery in like 80% of the romances that are out today.
Right.
So when you find one that actually does, it's like, oh my God, this is so great.
I'm going to buy everything else this person ever wrote. Yeah, I did that with Jennifer Cruzy. I read one story by her.
I remember all of her books sitting around and you reading all of those Jennifer Cruzy books.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I went back and found her category romances from when she was just getting started, and they were not as good as the later stuff. Welcome to Temptation is going to be one of my all-time favorite novels, and I'm not even a huge romance fan. Mm-mm. But that is one of my all-time favorite novels because it was just great, and it sold all of her books to me, every single one of them.
That's awesome.
Yes. So this is what you're doing. You are looking at a way to surprise your reader, to enchant your reader, to delight your reader. And one of the things that you have to get into your head when you do this, and you're going to see examples of this as I go through my stuff right from the very beginning, is that you have to allow yourself to not know what's coming up next. You can allow yourself to think that you know. And that's very handy. It's very handy to think that you know where things are going. But even as we start into this, you are going to see where I came up with my story concept, and immediately, as I started answering questions and putting together stuff in the worksheet, I broke it. And this is not a bad thing. This is you coming up with better stuff as you get to your best stuff. And this is part of what writing novels is. What writing short stories is. It is thinking you know what you're doing and getting something better as you go until you get the best thing as you finish, and then you go back and you revise. You never touch anything until the ending is written, but once you have that written, you go back and you make all the stuff at the beginning fit the stuff at the end.
Yeah, and you know what to hide at that point. You know what to shine a light on to do the red herring thing.
Yes, and I keep telling people this, and they find it so hard to believe. You do not know the right beginning for your story until you have written the ending. So everything in first draft, you just don't touch it, you don't mess with it, you can't fix it until you finished it. And then you go back and do one big fix and get it done. And people find that so hard to believe. It's but like, no, I have mistakes in the beginning. Yeah, you do, but you don't have any idea yet what they are.
Yeah, the thing that drives me nuts is, well, I just don't work that way. Yeah, nobody works that way at the beginning. You have to train yourself. It is another writer skill that you have to work on.
What we're going to start with this workshop is that there are things. Your question number 1 is that you ask yourself, just kind of in the back of your head about whatever story it is that you want to write, is what do you know that matters? And question number 2 is what do you know that doesn't fit? And these are, you just kind of let these float back there. And we're going to come back to these from time to time as we go, because I'm going to explain what matters and why as I walk you through my sheets.
Oh, that's not even on the sheets.
No, it isn't. This is not on the sheets. This is just kind of a conceptual thing when you are putting together mysteries and when you are putting together surprises. The first concept is what do you know that matters? And then the second concept is what do you know that doesn't fit? And there are things that you find out as you go. There are things that, and like I said, I'm going to go through these. So your process. At the start of the story, what do you know that your reader doesn't know is big, okay? And at the start of the story, this is everything. You know everything you think. And your reader knows nothing. And that's true. You know everything is not true. It feels like you know everything. And then things change. So the concept of the mystery and the surprise is that these are built from misdirection, from allowing or helping your reader to assume things that are not true, to jump to incorrect conclusions, to look at the wrong pieces of evidence or the wrong suspects first, and to otherwise gently help, and I'm going to kind of use the air quotes there, your reader to follow the wrong paths so that you can break out the right path at the right time and delight your reader with your cool surprise. And this works in every single genre on the planet. There is no genre in which misdirection and the careful application of some kind of spiffy look over here, something shiny while you're doing something with the other hand that's kind of sneaky and dangerous and cool. That there's no genre in which that does not work and in which that does not improve the story. So the process is you define your character's problem, you build multiple solutions, you make some solutions more obvious than others, you alternate obvious and tricky wrong solutions, and then you present all the pieces for the correct path throughout the story, but you hide them with misdirection. So you never cheat. And I will note also that in first draft, you're going to get a lot of this wrong. You're going to put pieces in there that turn out not to be necessary. You're going to leave out pieces that turn out to be necessary. But again, you're learning your story as you go. You don't know the story until you write the ending. And then you go back and through the magic of revision, you can fix all the stuff that's broken. One time, just one time through to fix it all. People think I'm nuts when I say that, but revision is where I take the ideas that got broken in first draft and I turn them into the novel I wanted them to be, and generally into a better novel than I imagined they could be. And for me, that's the whole fun of the game, and it's why I love my job so much, is because I can make massive mistakes. Okay, so let me go ahead and just show you. Because the first thing that you do in this workshop is you write down a sentence. And I'm going to walk you through what a story sentence. It is a protagonist versus an antagonist in a setting with a twist. And this is PACTS, which is my little thing that I came up with for showing people how to remember protagonist, antagonist, conflict, setting, twist. Those are the 5 things that you have to have in a story sentence to make it work. And to do this, on the worksheets, you will see if you download mine, my sentence is, a cautious librarian lost in a new city must discover the truth behind a series of young women gone missing and the lonely older man who tries to befriend her. This is 30 words. And 30 words is the maximum length in which you can do this. And people keep saying, but why? Because it forces you to winnow down to what actually matters. It forces.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, oh, it's only 31. Oh, it's only 33. No, it's supposed to be 30. There's a reason for it.
Yes, 30 is the max. 30 forces you to push your thoughts down to their tightest, most compressed kernels. Okay, but in any way, okay, we've got cautious librarian. That's my protagonist. Lost in a new city is the setting. Must discover the truth behind a series of young women gone missing. That's the conflict. The lonely older man who tries to befriend her is a potential antagonist, but that didn't quite work out the way I anticipated. So the next thing we're going to do, and Becky's got her worksheets here too, so why don't you go ahead and give them your sentence for the story.
Okay. My sentence took about friggin' 30 minutes to winnow down because unlike you, I used an idea that I had already built and already actually started writing, I think. So my sentence turned out to be, the daughter of an executed serial murderer returns home to both a handsome new neighbor and a familiar series of murders, and she knows she must identify the killer or be next.
Very nice. Okay, so give them protagonist, antagonist, conflict, setting, and twist.
Okay. So daughter of an executed serial murderer is the protagonist. Returns home, that's the setting. The conflict is the familiar series of murders, not murderers. The possible antagonist, handsome new neighbor, or the murderer, the killer. That's the antagonist to me, is the killer. And the twist is that she might be next if she doesn't identify him.
Yes, and there you go.
I think I covered everything.
Yep, that got it. That's all in there. Okay, so now the first thing that you're going to do on your worksheet is you're going to identify, how do I define the character's problem? And the problem is different than what you have in the sentence because for me, Liz, that's my librarian, is shy, quiet, well-read, observant, fearful. She notices a similarity between an old disappearance of a town girl 5 years earlier and a new disappearance. And she catches a connection between the 2 missing women and a man who suddenly appears in the library trying to befriend her. Okay, as I go through this, you're going to see that there are a lot of things about this that kind of fall apart. But part of doing this process is eliminating in advance mistakes that you could make that will then require revision. There's a lot of this stuff that you can catch in first draft and fix it as you're coming up with your idea if you think about it. So this is cutting out a lot of what would have to be revised later. Okay, so Becky, go ahead and how do you define your character's problem?
So how do I define the character's problem? Sai is the daughter of a fairly infamous serial killer. She's an artist that has changed her name and done well. When her ex gets caught cheating, he makes it known who her father is, and Sai must leave.
What a douche.
Yeah, he's a dick. Fulton Hills is the only home she knows before her father was exposed, and moves back. See, even I have problems with my handwriting. As she arrives, the cute photographer next door becomes interested in her, and the murders start up that night. Women, her father's type, her father's MO.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. The next question on this worksheet is, okay, well, before we do that, you kind of, as you define the character's problem, you are looking at the situation from the character's point of view. And you can do these worksheets. Becky and I were talking about this too before we got started on the show. You can do a set of these worksheets for each character if you want to. If you are not entirely certain how you want the story to go, you can do your one protagonist, you can do a different possible protagonist, you can do something from the antagonist's point of view and answer all the same questions, because all of these characters have a problem. All of them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, was even if you are sure of, or you think you're sure of what your story is going to be, what everybody wants, whatever, it's a really awesome freaking way to get inside of a different character, to come up with different ideas, to come up with all of these different answers in here, and it adds a level of conflict. So if you have issues with conflict in your story, I think doing this from everybody's different perspective is just amazing.
Right, because then you have different surprises, you have different points of view, you have different angles. If Becky did this from her serial killer's point of view, then all of a sudden the problem would be, well, how do I pick these people and make it look like it was so-and-so's father doing it again from beyond the grave? Yeah, how do I do that? Or some other thing. So then you go to the next question. What are all the characters' possible solutions? And this is, there's a lot of space on the worksheet for this. I have, 2, 3, 5, 8, 5, 13 possible solutions. Because if you're doing this, at novel length, you're going to want to hit a few things that are kind of obvious first, and then eliminate them quickly so that the person who's reading the book goes, oh shit, I thought that was going to be it. I thought I knew it. And it's already, obviously it's not that. So then what is it? And then you break out the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And this is fun. This is where I learn how to be all twisty. And this is the process that I do that with. And people comment on how twisty my stuff is and how I keep surprising them. This is that.
Yeah, and the Longview series, I know there was quite a few people that were surprised.
Yeah, and I knew that the biggest twist of all, I knew from when I built that first little concept map. I knew, and I wrote toward that ending from the very beginning, and I left little notes and little tiny hints all through the series toward it, but I kept them small, I kept them in the background, I kept my mouth shut about it elsewhere, and at the ending it was like, pow! And I was so happy. I was so damn happy. All right, so we've got a possibility of 13 solutions for the character, and you can print off extra sheets if you need them. If you're writing a 200,000 word novel, you might need more. Okay, so, having been there, yeah. Okay, so what my solutions are. The young women are being abducted and murdered by the friendly man who plans to make her a target as well. Okay, that is really on the nose, obvious, and it's marked that way on the the worksheet. That's the obvious solution. Oh yes, he's trying to befriend her, therefore he is the killer. Okay, so that's the one that we're going to get rid of pretty quickly. Liz is the principal suspect, getting rid of rivals for someone's attention, and 2 further disappearances will finally provide proof for the friendly man who is a secret detective. Now that is a kind of a likely twist if your mind thinks this way. That, okay, well, the protagonist is the villain. And, my mind goes to that a lot. Is that a possibility? That's one of the first things I check out. In this case, it's not. So that's another one of the things I will eliminate early in the story if I ever wrote this. This is just a dummy story for me. This was just a thing so I could test stuff out. Okay, now the third is that the 2 women who went missing are sisters. gotten away from their vile, manipulative mother by the father who loved them both and was never permitted to see them. Now, this I consider kind of an interesting twist. I have that marked on here as, okay, they're not actually missing. They were rescued. And the people who are, fomenting for their return are very, very bad people. But that puts something in the back of my mind that shows up later and is part of what I'm talking about when I say the story idea that you're coming up with can go in a lot of directions you don't expect. So, next solution here is Liz is the sleuth and the friendly man is a local historian, and they team up to track down a serial killer inhabiting the town for the past 15 years. Now, this I have in brackets as painfully expected. I would be dubious about even throwing this in there because in so many instances, the solution is, yes, it's a serial killer. Yes, he's been inhabiting this area for a long period of time, and people just now noticed. So, come on. Go deeper. Okay, so the next one is the missing women are members of a local unsuspected crime family whose planned disappearances mask large serious crimes they've committed, diverting attention to family pleas for their return. This I consider also pretty interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, that they ripped off $1 million artifacts or something they did something heinous. And then they disappeared, and because they're part of this crime family, well hidden, tucked away, they get away with it because they're supposedly, everybody's thinking, oh, God, they're dead in the ditch somewhere, please. Their faces are on milk cartons or, whatever anybody's doing these days. It's up on the internet.
Instagram, Facebook. Yeah.
Yes, Facebook
Tweets.
and Twitter. And oh, God, they're gone. Help us find them. And they're not missing. They're just hiding out with their loot. Okay, so that I thought was an interesting possible twist. Okay, the two missing women are only the tip of an iceberg. Now, this is the next one, and this is, again, a completely different possible solution. They are only the tip of an iceberg, as the history of the town reveals women who match their description going missing for more than 150 years. This is a very different direction, and this is the one where my brain went ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say that's I have something a little bit like that in one of my Fulton Hill stories. That is awesome. I really like that.
Yeah, and that's the one where I broke my sentence.
Yep.
That's the one right there, but that's the one, but it's okay because it's not even in first draft. This is in thinking up the ideas for the story, and if you go through this process, you can stop a lot of your obvious solutions and get the story onto an interesting path that you really want to follow early on, and you can go back and fix the sentence, which you can revise the sentence. That's okay. We allow that. That's a thing that you can change. It's just once you get started writing the novel, you don't fix what you've written. But going through and fixing your story concept in advance of writing the story, that's okay. All right. So with my 6 different concepts out of as many as I could have gone, when I got to the winner, I stopped. So go ahead.
Well, and again, if you're listening to this, you're listening to 2 different versions of using this because Holly created a story. I worked on one that I already had.
Right.
Now, I already knew what I wanted as far as the murderer to be. So what I did, and I hadn't done in the book before, was to create those other possible solutions. So this is only helping to make the story stronger. So I wrote, her father's spirit has come back to Fulton Hills and is murdering his victims, but at the same time is constantly thwarted in his attempts to kill her.
Nice.
So that's one possible solution. The neighbor is obsessed by the crimes of her father, has been since a child, knows who she is and wants to be with her and show her the love he has for his hero's daughter through murder.
Oh.
Yeah, to me that's the one that seems kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Except that I want also for his point of view to matter. But this gave me a really, really cool side to him that I didn't know. and that it kind of gives you an ability to kind of show the reader another possibility and maybe try to pretend to hide it, since you're reading from his point of view too.
Yeah.
So the reader's going to think, oh, well, this is the one, but she's trying to hide it, but I'm not. So the third one, and that's where I stopped. Someone who was a rando at the beginning, just a random person, I say rando, at the beginning is doing copycat killings, and they only become known now because his original murders were in Standing River, or they don't look like murders.
Writing is a process, and part of the process is thinking the way through your story and coming up with better ideas in advance if you can. And you saw me go through 6 ideas, and I will use a bunch of them, but the one that I came up with for that I love, the 2 missing women are only the tip of the iceberg, and there have been women in this area going missing for 150 years. Okay, so then we go to the next section. So the next part of what we're doing now is we are answering, how do I present the pieces of each possible wrong solution? And I have a number of wrong solutions, so I'm going to show you how I will deal with each one. Okay, now, and I need to mention here that where I broke my sentence in this, my sentence, as you remember, was a cautious librarian lost in a new city must discover the truth behind a series of young women gone missing and the lonely older man who tries to befriend her. The part of that breaks is that she cannot be lost in a new city. She is a citizen, needs to have been a citizen, although maybe, very shy, very backward, whatever, in this relatively like middle-sized community, maybe, a few 100,000 people.
Okay, I thought it was that, she only she only linked the new murder with an old one just now. It seemed kind of like, but that doesn't make sense, because I guess that's how she keeps digging and deeper and finds.
Right. So
okay.
Yeah. So she is from the town. She could, in fact, be a potential for what's coming because she fits the description. And I have mentioned somewhere else in here that she fits the description. So, but she is not new in town. Okay, and that turns out to be an important thing that will have to be changed in my rewrite of the sentence if I were to write this. I don't think I will, but if I were to write this is what I would do. Okay, so how do I present the pieces of each possible wrong solution? Okay, I'm going to eliminate the obvious as my first step. Liz promptly suspects the friendly man, since she matches the description of the 2 missing women. I decided she has long black hair and blue eyes. But she discovers through research that he's been tasked with finding them. Okay, I've got in quotation marks, by whom? And that eliminates him as the obvious suspect, because she thinks he's the obvious suspect. And as she investigates him, discovers, no, he's actually been hired by someone, and we don't know who yet, to find them. Now, the second of my options is Liz destroys old letters, pictures of one missing woman who was once a friend, refuses to discuss the relationship, and is evasive when questioned. That is my nod to her being the principal subject. Now, if I were going to make her, if I want her to be considered as a possibility, having her do this would be highly suspicious, and then I would have to go back later and explain why she did it. Okay, so then she has to have a really good reason for destroying old letters, pictures of one of the missing women who was once a friend, not discussing whatever the relationship was between the two. She has to be evasive when questioned, but she has to have a good reason. But that is part of telling the story. That's not when you're setting up the mysteries. You don't have to come up with the solutions now. You do that while you're writing. So then the next problem I deal with is the next possibility, which is Liz and the friendly man uncover evidence of crimes at times of disappearances, and when they look, find evidence of connection between the missing women and the crimes. Now, this can work one of two ways. I can keep this, even though I have decided that the 150-year thing is part of what's going on, because if the person responsible for the disappearances of these women wants to make it look like they were guilty of something, then they can steal things, have those things disappear
Nice.
at the time of the woman's disappearance, and go say, see, look at that. They're not dead. They're thieves.
Oh my
They're
God.
horrible people, and we're well rid of them. And, yes, obviously the FBI should be called in and should be sent to find them. But that's
cool.
just right. See, because that then just covers the truth with a plausible truth. Okay? And that's part of what you're doing when you're building a mystery. Misdirection. You have somebody who says, okay, this is the reason they're gone. See that $1 million vase? The Ming vase? Gone. Yeah, they did it. Okay, so then the next thing is, my next solution is, but the women were or are secret half-sisters. Okay, and this is where, again, my brain started throwing in some stuff that I'm going to be able to use. So this is going to be tied in with, the two women are sisters. They were away from their vile, manipulative mother. Okay, so they're not sisters, they're half-sisters. And this turns out to be important, okay? Their two mothers admit the connection and claim to hate the guy who abandoned them both. And both of them are lying about the nature of the relationship, because at this point, my brain was already working on that 150-year thing. And the fact that the two women have two children, two unrelated women have two children by the same man, and both of these sisters have disappeared, is important.
And it goes with 150 years. This is very, very complex.
Yes, it is. Okay, so then my next solution, also in this part of it, is they discover the lie when they find the father of both the missing women, who describes both town women and a number of others pursuing him until he got them pregnant and then dumping them.
Dumping them or dumping him?
No, they dumped him.
Okay.
They got pregnant and then they never wanted to have anything to do with him again. Okay, and he has proof of this. He has all of these little love letters and shit they wrote him, and oh my God, you're so wonderful, I'm pregnant, get out of my life.
Wow.
Okay, yes. So, why would they do that? And that's where we get down to more mystery stuff. Okay, so now Liz and her friendly old buddy do some careful and dangerous digging into the history of the town, which reveals a history of young women with black hair and blue eyes going missing once about every 20 years or so. And I think if these two are half-sisters, maybe a little bit closer to each other than that, so that the guy has a chance to have fathered maybe 2 or 3 of these girls. Yeah. Because they always end up gone, and he never gets to meet them, and he's he's kind of just piffed about this. So then the next part of that is the first founding of the town 150 years ago. We discover was by members of a cult who chose the town for its system of winding natural caves. And this I pull from my own personal history of this, because when I lived in Janadenhutton, Ohio, we had this series of caves that were in the hills, and they had been inhabited by the local Indian tribe for, centuries, and they're still there. And I wandered around in them with supervision when I was a child, because they were extensive, and if people who could have gotten lost could have not gotten found again. So, but there's this stuff that you do when you're a kid sticks in the back of your head, and all of a sudden there it is as an idea. Oh my God, those caves, they would be perfect. So, I then go to Liz and her partner discover a gateway into another world, which is a door kept open by human sacrifice for the power it gives the so far immortal city founders. Okay, so this at this point has taken this way out of the realm of murder mystery, serial killer mystery. All of a sudden, we're in the middle of paranormaldom, which all of a sudden this hit my bailiwick. And I'm going, yeah, this would actually be kind of fun to write. Now that I've given away the ending and shown how I got there, not so much. But, so this is just a burner idea. This is something I'm throwing out there as this is how it's done. And I'm not going to write this because, well, I gave away the ending. But,
yeah.
Yeah. But that's what you do. So then how do I hide the next question? Oh, okay, go ahead. Oh, sorry, your turn.
Yeah, you're so into your idea.
Yeah, a little sucked into that crazy story there. Yes.
Well, mine. So it's like, how do I present the pieces of each possible wrong solution? I only have 3 because I only had 3 of the things that I mentioned earlier. So it's have neighbor's obsession with death and then the occult show through, including her father, the explanation why he's so obsessed with all of this stuff, and her father, because I already decided that I wanted to keep him good. The explanation is his aunt was one of his victims.
Okay, that's a good reason for an obsession.
Yeah, he had no idea who the main character was, while the whole town knows who her father was. So, like, she's changed her name. She doesn't look necessarily like her father, so she's okay. She's like, nobody knows who she is, even though she thinks that everybody does, because that's her life. That's been her life. Right. There are differences in the copycat killings, and they would be pointed out, shining way brightly. So, like, this is the differences that the ghost has unfortunately made, because serial killers, some of them are product killers and some of them are process killers, and he is a process killer. He enjoys the process. People like Dahmer were a product killer, so they might have killed differently. The end goal for him was the dead body, the zombified person, the body. So he is a process killer, meaning he enjoys the process. So the fact that he, as a ghost, cannot kill the same way, it bothers him, but it also makes the copycat person more of a realistic suspect. Right. Because it's not his original MO, there are differences. So that would shine brightly. Then the other one is, she would have her own suspect because she is desperate to solve this whole issue, and because this has been her life, so she's terrified of these kind of things. So therefore her mind is looking for reasons why this suspect is the man, and not looking for the ways that he could not be. So she is trying to, because she's desperate to find the murderer, and she has a suspect in mind, she's looking for all the reasons why this is her person, why this is the killer.
Right. She's trying to make it fit.
Yeah, and she doesn't realize what she's doing, but it's a very natural thing that people do. If they want this solution, they're going to find reasons why this is the solution, instead of trying to debunk it. Right. So those were my, and I don't know if I did that right, but it seems like I did.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Those are all really good. Okay, so then the last part of this process is you ask the question, how do I hide the pieces of the character's correct solution? And my first answer here is, I have Liz notice an old picture of the town's first founders and comment on how much the current mayor looks like the first mayor in the town. That the first mayor from 150 years ago, when, they cut the ribbon on the town and he was the mayor, and yeah. Okay, my second, how do I hide the pieces of the character? And you just, when you're doing this, it's kind of casual. You present it in a scene where a lot of other important things are going on, and you have an important discussion going on, and you have her just look at that and say, "Oh my God, you really look like," and he says, "Oh yeah, that was my we were actually related somewhat." And then that's it, and it's gone. It was this neat little bit of trivia that
well, and as they dig deeper and they find out this has been happening for 150 years, you're going to be stuck thinking, okay, well, maybe the mayor is involved. Maybe it's a family thing.
Right.
You don't realize that it is the same dude.
Right, exactly. So then you focus on the mundane facts of the case, but give Liz nightmares and the paranoid sense that she is being watched when she's alone. And if she's from the town, and she has the black hair and the blue eyes, she could be someone who is being considered for this. She might not be because if the sacrifices are done on blood lineage, and there are a number of possible candidates who fit inside of this, the guy who was chosen could have been one of a number of brothers or cousins or whatever, and all of them could have fathered female children who during the right time period could have been eligible, and she was just a little too old or a little too young or something to make her at the time that last sacrifice was needed, or at the time that this sacrifice was needed. She was just a little off, so they had a better candidate, so she wasn't chosen, luckily for her. But so you focus on the mundane facts of the case, but she is having nightmares. And if she is one of these people, if there is some sort of connection between her and what we have coming, which is this portal, this immortality portal, then she could be having these paranormal connections to this thing, especially if she's blood lineage, she's connected somehow to it. Okay, so then you make a couple of references to events at the caves, which is a local tourist destination. But again, it's just this sort of casual thing. We had a kid lost in the caves, and we had to send a search team in, and they found him, soon enough that he was still basically okay. He had to go to the hospital. He had to have some IVs for fluids, but, and they're talking again about boarding up the entrance to the caves. But, they never do it because the tourist, it's the only tourist attraction the town has, so is those caves. So they never board them up. But, and then you move on. Okay, so then you have, again, planted this little clue that there's something about the caves. And then you notice that council members who step down because you have, let's say that the mayor is kind of old, and he steps down, and he still has a little bit of his term to serve. So his younger somebody is coming in. He's going to retire to Florida, and his younger so-and-so is going to come in and just kind of fill out the thing for his last part of his term, because he's the doctor says he's going to have a stroke if he doesn't move, and so on. Okay, so you plant in there, okay, well, he's old, and they've got this thing in line, and he's got this great kid who's coming in. And then the younger person comes in and stands in temporarily, only to be elected by the town as the next mayor. Okay, same dude. They did their little sacrifice. The old guy left. He goes through the portal. He comes back young, and he has already he's already told people, I've got to go to Florida. I can't stand it here anymore. The weather's killing me. It's cold in Ohio. And, Florida, or, wherever this is. And then he comes back as a young guy, and it's, hey, yeah, sure, hey, wow, yeah, welcome to town. We're really glad you're back. We're really glad you're here. We kind of vaguely remember you when you were a kid lying. Yeah. So that's how that would work. And all you do is you build little tiny pieces of the truth that you drop in and write over, so that they're just there, and you're not cheating. You're telling the truth from the very, very beginning. You're just pointing people at other, more likely solutions. Yeah. Okay, and now it's your turn.
So again, mine is a lot less. But explain away the ghostly shit at night with her PTSD and associated nightmares and panic and anxiety attacks and stuff like that. Because, again, her father was a serial killer who, they tend to be sociopaths. So as she was growing up, she didn't have the best childhood. Then she had all of that media circus when her father ended up being a serial killer, and that was a huge thing. And then her father was executed, and he was an infamous serial killer. So her father is everywhere, you know what I mean? So this is a big deal. So she has a lot of mental issues with this. And some of the stuff that happens is stuff that she has dealt with in the past, thinking that somebody is watching her, thinking that she's not alone, hearing random noises, thinking that she sees her father everywhere. This is shit that happens anyway.
Right, that makes perfect sense. And she would,
it fits her life.
Yes.
So another one is she doesn't believe in ghosts because there are enough evils humans do without adding ghosts to the mix. So she is very, very much of this world. Obviously, she believes in human evil enough that, ghosts aren't even on her radar. Right. And she was so young when she lived in Fulton Hills that she doesn't know about Fulton Hills.
Yeah. Hi, honey. Welcome home.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that she went back. Again, Fulton Hills keeps its people.
Yeah.
The physical deaths themselves leave physical evidence behind that doesn't indicate ghost death, but that another person is involved. So there is evidence that is being left behind, trace evidence that would indicate, it's a normal murder, so, but maybe the paranormal group in Fulton Hills might be looking at it differently. I don't know. Or maybe they see the trace evidence and they walk away. They're like, no, that's,
Yes.
I don't know yet. But it did give me, again, I was working on something that was already put together. So I used it more as a kind of deepener.
Yeah, like a brainstorming sheet.
Yeah. I do kind of wish that I had pulled out a romance, because what we both did these paranormal suspense things.
I didn't intend to, but yes.
Yeah, well, you were still doing a murder mystery.
Right.
And I was doing a murder mystery, paranormal murder mystery. And we start this off by saying that it's not just a murder mystery.
Right. Yes, this is true. Right. But the process itself, you can, if you are daring, you can just go ahead in and try answering these questions for whatever genre you're writing in. You will find that this process will give you a bunch of different ways you can take the story, a bunch of deeper things you can do with the story, and will improve your idea because it will give you some things that you had not considered until you ask these questions and until you push your brain to come up with multiple answers, some of which you already know are wrong, but none of which you have determined as you're coming up with them are wrong. You allow yourself to ask the question and just come up with, okay, well, any of these answers that I'm coming up with could be the right one. I haven't decided yet which one is. And when you get to the one that is, you can keep going, or you can stop like I did and say, okay, well, this is the one that I want to write towards because this is just too cool. But you will find that you by building in these kinds of surprises and misdirections and little places where you are taking the reader in directions, in wrong directions intentionally, while not cheating, your stories will get a lot tighter and it will be a lot easier for you to place them with markets, because at the point where you're not writing the same obvious thing that everybody else is writing, then you can get editors to keep turning your pages because they're going, oh, I thought obvious thing was what was going to be the end of the book. And she's already eliminated that in chapter 1. Holy crap, what is the actual thing? And that helps. that helps a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, surprising an editor can't be easy, but doing this kind of process and, you know, figuring out what the obvious stuff is and knocking them off left and right, that would be a really good way to do it. So is there anything else you want to add before we get to the takeaway?
I don't think so. I think that pretty much has covered it. And I think we did some pretty good demos to help people get through the worksheets.
Yeah.
And again, no sign up or anything required to get the worksheets. Just go to the page, download them, print them
we'll
off.
have it in the show notes too. So if you can't find the download page, just go to the show notes. That's at alonewithinvisiblepeople.com. Just go to the most recent episode. You'll see the title. Click on that, and then inside the show notes there'll be links to everything we discussed today, pretty much.
Yes, but the download page also is linked on the right, and you can so in the sidebar, on the right hand sidebar, you just click downloads and it'll take you to the download page. And we have a lot of stuff now at this point where that people can download.
Yeah, so if you haven't listened to all of the episodes, take a look at the download, see which ones you want to go listen to, and enjoy yourself.
Yes. Okay, so the takeaway here is as follows. Okay, follow hunches. Allow yourself to explore strange directions where your muse, your right brain leads. You do this by asking those questions and giving yourself as many possible answers as you can come up with. I wrote a lot of blanks into the worksheet to give you room to come up with a lot of different possibilities. Every next twist that you make creates a new clear path. So this is when I was going through my list of things and I was knocking off, okay, what's not this? And that was the second of the fill out worksheets where you're going, okay, first I'm going to deal with the obvious path. I'm going to eliminate that. So then I moved to the next question that I was having them explore. That becomes, for your reader, the next clear path. The next thing that the reader is looking at is, oh, okay, I see where she's going with this. This is the next answer. So then you run a little with that, and then you eliminate it. And the reader goes, what? And that's what you're looking for, is, I thought it was the first thing, it wasn't. And I thought it was the second thing, and it wasn't. And now, holy crap, I'm not sure what the third thing might be, at which point you bring in the third wrong answer, and you build little pieces of that. And for each of these, as you go back through in revision, you set up places for each possible wrong answer where you're giving little hints. You don't do it in first draft, because in first draft, you don't know what the story is. You don't know the right ending until you've written it, at which point you then learn what the right beginning will be. And you go back and you fix all of this stuff. But as you're writing, you can be following this process, now we're going to show them a few things from this other thing that isn't right, but that could be right, that seems plausible. And then you build that out, and you eliminate it. And then you build out the next thing, always leaving these little trails of the true thing hidden. Just tiny little pieces of true thing that are hidden. Okay, so that is every next twist creates a new clear path. Okay, the third takeaway is dare to surprise yourself. Do not assume when you write your story sentence that that's what the story is going to be about, because that's just your first idea. It's not your best idea. And as you follow this process, your ideas will get better. And finally, don't touch the story until you finish writing it. You revise to make all the pieces fit. You do not go back and fix things to make the pieces fit in first draft. You just let them sit there broken. They will not change while you're not looking. You will be able to fix all the shit that broke when it's done. But until you've written the ending, you don't know the best possible ending. And the best possible ending gives you a different beginning. And until you've written the ending, you don't know the best possible beginning. So that's our takeaway.
All right.
Kind of a long takeaway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's all important stuff. So, and I don't know. I really like this episode, and I think I'm actually going to take these. When you were just talking about the second point, I realized I could actually use these sheets with the second book in the Wanda Lucia series. I kind of need to, figure some stuff out because my muse keeps throwing stuff at me. And even though I'm only 14 scenes from the end, I'm still not 100% sure who the antagonist is.
There you go.
Yeah. So
there you go.
It's surprising to even moi.
Awesome. I've done that. That's fun.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Yeah. Literally.
Jinx.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's fun.
Yes. So, so that has been our episode on how to plot surprises and mysteries in any genre. If you have any questions, you can leave them on the alonewithinvisiblepeople.com page. But if you want to join in the conversation in the community that we're building for the Alone in a Room with Invisible People podcast, you can go to hollyswritingclasses.com and sign up for a free account. We've had some people that, didn't realize that you could get in for free and just be a part of the forums. You don't have to own any of the classes. Yes, exactly. You don't have to buy anything.
I appreciate it if you do.
Yeah. Because
but you don't have to.
That would be supporting, the podcast through supporting Holly. But again, we are trying to reach out to everybody. So it is a free account. You don't have to give your real name. You can even use the pen name for the account. That's absolutely fine. So you sign up for there. You go into the Alone in a Room with Invisible People podcast forums and comment on the episode that you are, you have questions about, or if something that we said left you a little bit confused, let us know. The forums are absolutely 100% free, and you also get a absolutely 100% free flash fiction course, how to write flash fiction that does not suck. It is a 3-week course, and it is freaking awesome. So that is how to get in contact with. You're welcome. With us there. You can follow us on the social medias. It's at AIARWIP at Twitter and Instagram, or Alone in a Room with Invisible People on Facebook. We would like to thank very, very deeply all of our patrons and our one-time supporters. If you want to join in and become, a supporter on a regular basis, we do have a Patreon. It is at AIA, or you could just look up AIARWIP, or you can look up Alone in a Room with Invisible People, Alone with Invisible People. I am putting together February's reward, and this reward goes for all tiers. I do not have the capability to do a second or third reward at this moment. We are working on some ideas, but I will post what we're struggling with right now on the Patreon, so you guys can know kind of what our goals are and what we're looking at for the future. But if you would like to support the podcast on a one-time basis, or on whenever you feel like it basis, we do have that option as well. If you go to the alonewithinvisiblepeople.com page, on the top right, there are 3 different levels that you can choose to support the podcast at. And again, in a broader spectrum, if you want to support the podcast by supporting its sponsor, Holly, you can buy her fiction, you can buy her courses, you can buy her workshops, or you can go and support her fiction by going to her Patreon, which is Holly Lisle, HOLLYLISLE, on Patreon. And you can, I think the tiers were what, 1, 2, and 5? Yeah, $1, $2, and $5. And you're supporting her fiction. And all of her rewards are listed, so go take a look there. And I believe that is it. Looking forward to our next week. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I'll just tell you now. It is about, we don't have a title for it yet, but it's basically about writing sex and romance in your fiction. And it doesn't have to be a romance genre. It can be any genre. It's just about that topic, and I figured that really fit for February. I tried to get it in on the, Valentine's week, but it's going to be the Tuesday after Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my want to put, that into our podcast. So this one might not be for everybody, but if you write, any kind of sex scene for your book or any kind of romance thread in the book, I think that Holly has a lot of really cool ideas and
I write from clean, no sex, just implied to some relatively raunchy stuff. So
yeah, she's
depending
got a
on my
lot of
genre.
stuff in there.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of romance and relationships in her work, and
Yeah.
they're really well done. I have read a lot of really shitty romances and really bad, sex scenes in otherwise very good books. So it'll be a fun topic. So that's for me. I just thank you guys so much for listening, Holly.
And thank you, and good luck with introducing mystery and misdirection into your fiction. Go out, kick some ass, have some fun, and amaze yourself.
Share what you get on the forums too.
Yes, please. I didn't even think about that. Let us know how it goes.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
You want to write, you love words, you love fiction, but you don't know where to start, or how to middle, or where to finish. I do. I'm Holly Lisle, and I've been doing this professionally since 1991. And I know how I did what I did to go pro, and I'll be happy to show you what I've learned. Start with my free 3-week flash fiction class at hollyswritingclasses.com.